Welcome back to What's Up Stratford via Zoom. Joining me next is Anne Coleman. She's with the Ontario Living Wage Network. Anne, thanks very much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Peter.
So what does the network do?
We calculate living wages in the province, and a living wage is the hourly wage a worker needs to earn to cover not just their basic expenses, but also to have a little bit extra to participate in community. So we do those calculations with support from local communities, and then we have an employer certification program where we recognize employers who make a commitment to pay all of their staff at least the living wage.
Perfect. So in Stratford, which is Perth, you're on, it's $17.55 an hour currently. When does it get updated next?
Yes, so we do our best to update the living wage each year. We did suspend our calculations for 2020 because of the pandemic, but we will be updating living wages right across the province in this coming November. So the first week of November is Living Wage Week, and we'll actually be announcing all of the updated rates on right on November 1st this year.
And then in the last month or so, we saw Fahm & Company become one of the employers that are certified. Why would an employer want to be a certified living wage employer?
Sure. Peter, that's a great question. I think there's a number of reasons. We have employers join our program a lot of times because they just feel it's the right thing to do. They want to ensure that the people that they work with and see on a daily basis are able to pay all of their bills and are healthy and well and aren't feeling stressed trying to make decisions between putting food on the table and how they're going to get to work each day. But there's other reasons as well. There's a real business case for the living wage. So we hear over and over from employers that once they begin paying a living wage, they are actually spending less money on hiring and training employees. And their employers are more productive. They really understand the job better because they've been there for longer. So there really is a business case. There's also a real benefit to communities. When somebody who's been earning, say, a minimum wage begins to earn a living wage, that extra income is something that's going right back into the local community and supporting local business.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So I know we talk about morale and low turnover. What are some advantages for employees to maybe when they're looking for a job to look for a living wage certified employer? What advantage for the employee is there?
Well, I mean, aside from the obvious of earning at least the living wage, I think it just really speaks to the values of the employer. And, I think that workers, that employees are oftentimes the number one value or piece of a workplace. What makes things run. And so when an employer signs on to our program, they're really showing that they care about their workers and they want the best for them.
Yeah, this sustainable movement is wonderful. And you see employers looking for employees everywhere with signs up. And retention is probably the lowest cost to keep in employees. So why are employers, I guess, hesitant to do it?
I think that there are sometimes it's just a big change for an employer if they've been paying a minimum wage to try and figure out how to work that into their business model. One of the things that I like to do when an employer reaches out and just has questions about our program, if I'm able to connect them with another employer in a similar sector, I'm always happy to do that so that they can, kind of learn from somebody else who's already gone down that road on how they've made changes within their business to be able to be part of the program and to pay a living wage.
So some sectors think that they can't afford it. And I know McLeod Scottish Shop in Stratford is one of the certified employers. So how do we help educate employers to do the right thing and join this movement?
I think that by understanding what it means to be a living wage employer, really understanding that there is that that positive aspect to your business, to your bottom line, the savings and hiring and training staff members, I think is huge. And I think as we're seeing many labor shortages right across the province, this is something that can make an employer stand out, and they can find, you know, really great employees, and just something that good employers or employees, good workers are looking for in an employer.
Well, Anne, thanks very much. It's definitely a win-win-win. So thank you very much for joining me and educating us on the living wage.
Thanks very much, Peter.